Hi guys, I'm Tshiamo. I was sexually molested at the age of 14 by a priest's son in my church. I'm from a Catholic church, being Lutheran church, and over a period of time they rotate our priests. I think maybe it's 3 years, I'm not certain, but after that period of time the priest had served and everything, they get rotated to another diocese, another church, and they serve there. So they move in with their families. There's a church house, there's a church next to, like, there's a house next to the church whereby they move in and they'll come with their families and obviously serve at that church for that period of time. And my molester was a priest's son. At the time I was 14, I was in grade 9, I was in boarding school, and I protected my molester until today, for the longest time ever. I never spoke about this to my parents. I did share with my husband, and yeah, that was it. So I had my reasons for not sharing. Obviously at that time he also said whatever he said, and somehow it spiked me not to want to reveal what had happened. And being from a boarding school, people always had this perception. I For my high school, I went to Bethel High School, which is in Northwest in Colini, and people had this perception that children who get taken to boarding schools are trouble kids and they problematic and whatever the case. In my case, my life took a turn after this incident with this priest's son, and I became rebellious. I had so much anger in me, and I took out the anger in a wrong way, and in a wrong way I became mischievous in my ways and whatnot. So anyway, primary school I went to Lefofa, which is close to home. um I was a good girl. I was academically driven. I always wanted to come out first in my academics and be an overachiever. Unfortunately, and I don't know if it's fortunate, unfortunate. Okay, so I'm an average. Yeah, I've always been an average, so I would come out average, a good average, and I would beat myself up, because I wanted to be a top achiever, number one in my class and everything, but that never happened. I would always come out average. I grew up I grew up in a family of we six at home. I have 3 siblings. I'm the last born at home. I have 2 sisters and a brother. My parents are former teachers. I think as well, they would come home, and obviously, like my parents being teachers at the time, they would come home and talk about the overachievers in their classes or school, and I I had this desire in me to be seen by them, and they never made an emphasis or whatsoever on my academics. Like I said, I was an average learner, average 60. Yeah, so a good average learner, so around 60s. So there wasn't much emphasis or fuss made around my academics. My report will come, we passed, okay, we move on. They don't even talk about it. So that was the case, and I would always hear them talking about this other kids in their school, in their classes, how excellent they are in their work, how good they are academically and whatnot. So I don't know, I think I had this void in me to want to impress them, to want to be seen by them. And after my after the incident had happened, um I took out my anger on them. So I became very rebellious, more especially towards my mom. And I am not proud of it at all. Anyway, this is how it happened. My molester, I will give, let's call him, oh, I don't have a nice name in my head. Let me not name him. Yeah, let me not name him because, wow. Priest's son. We'll just stick to the priest's son. At the time, it was during holidays, but we closed early because there was an issue of water. I remember at school, so they were struggling with water, and they brought us home earlier than when the schools were actually closing. So we wrote tests faster, and they were able to wrap up the academic things for that term before time, so that we can leave early. But not all the grades, because I remember I think grade 11 and 12 stayed behind, and the water that they had could sustain that number of kids, so they had to decrease the number whatsoever. So I was still in grade 9, so I was on the lower grades in high school. So we went home early. They were able to wrap up our academic things for the term early, so we can leave. And yeah, so I was home early, I remember. And on that particular Saturday, we went to church, and my parents were sitting together in the front. Yeah, so then I sat a bit at the back at the time. Anyways, and again, because I didn't like to sit and really pay attention in church or sing or whatever, so I always didn't want to sit next to them, because I know we will have to sing non-stop. And not only that, guys, in that church, you get up, you sit down, you get up, you sit down. When the priest stands up, you get up. When the priest is doing this, you sit down. When they do this, you get up again. If you know, you know. If you don't, I don't know, guys. But yeah, it was a lot. So at some point, I just decided, oh, I'm not gonna get up again. We just stood up and then we sat down. Now we must get up again. And so sitting next to my parents, obviously they will force me to to stand up every now and again when it's time to stand up. I remember my dad will even force you to stand up, but he won't stand up at that point. And my mom, everything, just give you the look, doesn't need to say anything. When she stands up and when you're sitting, just you know you gotta stand up. And after a while of standing up, you sit down again. Anyway, so I didn't like to sit with them in church, so I sat at the back and knowing, obviously if they turn their heads, I will get up if it's time to get up, So yeah, so I sat at the back and so this guy was sitting behind me. So I remember him greeting me at some point, and obviously, guys, we are in church, you can't be rude. I mean, church brother, church sister, whatever. It was like, hi. The church obviously started, progressed, and as time went on, how woman Mugai Kyo, he's busy talking. Hi, hey, hi. He introduces himself. I'm like, okay, and nice to meet you. I don't even tell him my name. And then he was like, I hardly see you. How come I see you sometime? You come with your parents, other times you're not here. And I was like, well, I don't live here. And he was like, where do you live? I'm like, no, I'm in boarding school. He's like, oh, okay, so you're one of those academic what girls. And I'm like, no, I'm just average, you know. That's how I cut it. And then after a while, he was like, I'm the priest's son. When he said that, I turned, like I literally turned. Now I looked at him, I looked at the priest, and I saw the resemblance in them, and I was like, oh, okay. Then I started asking him, okay, where were you guys before here? He was like, no, we were in whatever church, I forgot. So now we are here in the Majaning Diocese Church. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, yeah. And then it's like, honestly, I also want to put it out there. These people are smart, no? You must not. Wabana criminals. Criminals are intelligent, guys. They are intelligent and they in a wrong way. Molesters, before they come to you, they study about you. Like, they investigate. They don't just target anyone. Anyway, and then at some point I remember him saying, there's a program that we're busy with here at church. I'm sure you're not aware of it since you don't live here, and you come sometimes and blah 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 blah. And I was like, what program now? And I think before he even said the program, I was like, I'm not interested. I know I won't participate. Number one, I never even participated in Sunday school, youth, whatever. I was never interested in those things. So I was like, I'm not interested. Then he was like, okay. And then there are announcements that I made in church, guys. So on this particular Sunday, there was a lady who also had an announcement, and instead of whoever, so instead of that guy making the announcement, he was like, guys, I'm gonna read out the announcements that we have now here, but for this specific one, I'll call the lady in front. Oh, okay. They call the lady in front. Lady comes in front, and then she's like, she wants to thank the church. She has a big announcement to make. The announcement is that she got a bursary to go and study and be a pilot in Germany. I think she was definitely going to Germany. She passed whatever test. I don't remember what. The previous year she got distinctions in mathematics, in maths, physics, and wara. And she met the requirements, and there was also some test that she wrote. Guys, I'll be back. So she wrote some tests as well. I don't know where she wrote those tests, and she passed them. So she got this bursary and will be leaving, and she couldn't have achieved and done that without the church's help and whatnot. So she would like to thank the church, also considering her she's an orphan, and she lives with her grandmother, and that she's asking the church to look after her grandmother when she's not around and she's leaving. She made it was a big thing, it was a nice thing. Now we celebrated, we clapped hands for him. And then priest son was like, that can be you as well. I believe you can be the next one. to make such an announcement in church. And then I don't know how the church helped, honestly speaking. It was just a celebration, clapping hands. I remember the priest coming and hugging her, praying over him as people were singing. And then the grandmother also joined in, cried, saying thank you. They prayed over them together, wished them luck. I think they even asked, after that, they asked people if we can contribute again, because announcements are made at the end when we are about to leave. Like the church things have been done, contributions for that Sundays have been handed in and everything. So after that announcement, I remember the priest actually asking if people can contribute towards this kid. So the money that was contributed after then, it was not for the church, but it was going to them as a token of, I don't know, celebrating her, as a gift for her before she goes. How people are singing, people are contributing again, da 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 da. I even remember my mom calling me to come and fetch money so I can also contribute. I went, got the money, went to the front, contributed. Obviously, it was a celebration, guys. Come back, my guy was like, this can be you. I can see it in you, and wara wara. I didn't even ask, I never even asked how the church assisted in, towards her getting the bursary or anything. But I remember my guy actually saying, Hore, this is the program I was telling you about. I wanted to tell you about. Hore, you feel like you're the right candidate to join in. It can be you one of the good days. And remember, I have that thing in me of wanting to be an overachiever academically, even though I'm an average learner. Sometimes, guys, it's important to understand your capabilities, and it's important to know your weaknesses and your strength. And in that way, you will know how to position yourself well. If you are not strong in certain things, just know, hore, okay, here, like for me, I will say, like I said, I'm an average learner. I'm not bad in maths, neither am I excellent in maths. I'm not bad in physics, neither am I excellent. I'm average in those things. So I cannot sit down and say I can be a pilot or a mathematician or go and study actual science. It will be me fooling myself, honestly speaking. I don't even want to lie about it and say, no, I'll get there and work hard. What? No. I'm an industrial engineer now, and I'm not saying people should write themselves off on things altogether, but just know how capable you are in something so you can position yourself well. So my guy was busy talking like that, and I remember I had this thing in me where I want to be a scientist. I don't know why. So my guy said that, a scientist in what? I don't even know. And then my guy was like, it can be you, na 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 na. And then he handed me his phone, and was like, can I have your numbers? I'll contact you and explain further this whole program. I gave him my numbers. Stupid me. I don't want this to be a long session, and I'm trying to cut it down. So I'm gonna end it here. I will film part 2 on what actually transpired, how it affected me going forward, and what I had to deal with. Yeah. So let me just end here. This was actually an introduction to the story, an introduction to my story, to have a background of where I come from, how I landed where I landed. So thank you guys. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and you can comment down below.